Hey Red Vein fans, I am Lauren of Mouthy Broadcast, also a proud Red Vein haunter, and I'm here with Ryan Sly, owner of Red Vein Haunt, and we're about to interview Kitty Barnes, VP of Operations and original Wicked Woman.
Coming for you.
Like, you know what, fuck it, it's January, I'm gonna do my nails. And then we went and picked up a vortex tunnel, and it's already,
and moved other furniture.
It's already starting to chip off, and there's stickers, and they're supposed to be like, you know, last through whatever, but it cannot last through haunting. So that's what I get for trying to be girly.
So why don't you introduce yourself, Kitty?
I mean, everybody already knows who I am. They get to see me all the time, whether they want to or not. But I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and that's me.
How would you describe the way that you became involved in Red Vein and haunting in general? Starting out with, did you work with any haunts before Red Vein?
So no, I actually had no haunt experience prior to joining Red Vein, and I didn't intend to join Red Vein. So I moved down here, and I was bored out of my mind, and I, went online and started looking for groups that did stuff with horror because it's something I love, and I found this Red Vein Army, and I was like, all right, they seem all right. Let's see what they've got going on. And then they posted a book club, and I was like, I love books, and I love talking about books. So I messaged the page and asked if it was really legit and if I could come out, because I partially believed that a group of people that focus on spooky stuff would probably try to murder you. Yeah, I just came out to talk about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And then when I was leaving, I found a skeletal spine in the parking lot by my car. So that was a good sign. And I felt like it was kind of like that ray of light coming from the sky, but it came in the shape of a spine on the ground. I don't know whose spine it was. You guys talk about some members that aren't there, and that's probably their spine. Who knows? But that was like I was like, all right, yeah, I guess they're cool because there's bones, so.
Tell us about your first build.
I didn't know what was going on. That's the best way to put it. We were actually building in someone's backyard. Ryan's telling people what to do. I am not understanding any of the words he's saying because he's assuming that I know what he's talking about.
It's mostly just like, hold this wall.
So that's what I did.
So you didn't know what walls were?
I didn't know what walls were. I was like, this wall. And he's like, hold it still, don't drop it. We've got to attach them. Because they're 4x8 panels. You line them up and configure them in whatever way that you need the set to go. And I couldn't look at it and figure out how that was a haunted house. But I just held the walls. I sat there and just held them, and I kept coming back, and I would hold a wall, and occasionally he'd let me hand him a screw. Or it got to the point where I was allowed to paint a little bit, but then I didn't paint very fast, so lost that job and went back to holding walls. But that was my first build experience.
And she got better at it. So, now she can put together a whole set. She designed our second escape room that we ever did.
I show up.
What do you think is the most unusual aspect of what you do?
I think one thing that surprises people is that we start so early. Often, even in September, people will say, oh, you're building a haunt now? It's not October yet. Yes, we build it all year long. It shocks people when I tell them how intense it is and how strenuous it is, because it is not easy work. And I wouldn't trade it. I absolutely love it, but it's exhausting and you push yourself physically. I put a coffin in my car. It does not normally hold coffins. I don't have a hearse. So
if there was one lesson that you could pick from what you've learned in the past several years of doing this job, what is the What's the most valuable lesson that you've learned being a haunter?
Don't give up. You know, there's always more that you can do, and accepting that you can learn more is huge. You know, that you've never tapped out.
As a haunt actor that isn't as close to the haunt site, I don't get to make it to as many of the builds. But I'm surprised that you haven't mentioned the challenges of organizing the team and the cast.
Oh yeah, well that's a different area altogether. Well, for those that don't know, this was Suzanne. If you came through the haunt last year, this face greeted you, and I absolutely loved having you be part of the attraction. Like, that was a blast. Recruiting actors and training them and preparing them for how strenuous acting is. I mean, you can attest to it.
Yes.
How'd you feel at the end of the night?
Exhausted.
Yeah.
Exhausted every night, and you've got to do it. And luckily for us, I know some haunts are open more days per week. Most weeks we were only Friday and Saturday. We had an extra day right before Halloween, and then open again Halloween night midweek. I had to take days off of work this year to make sure that I was rested up enough to do it.
I would come and check on you, and you still had the walk, and then you spoke to me like Suzanne, and you would only react to me if I called you Suzanne.
Method actor.
Yeah. But did you die?
No,
No,
I
you
didn't
made
die.
it.
I made it. I hung in there, and I'm stronger for it.
But yeah, it's a challenge getting actors to your level. And also, you know, you mentioned that you feel bad that you're not there building. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. We don't want everyone there building. We want people that want to build to be there building, and we want actors to be there acting. Like, everyone has their role, their place, and you excel when you're in the right place. So sometimes the biggest challenge is just finding what's right for you.
One thing that I see when I go through the haunt is how much we have and how much has been there from day one.
There's
Yeah.
stuff that's still there.
And anyone that's ever tried to throw anything away at Red Vein can attest to how Ryan reacts.
I dumpster dive our own trash. It's like, no, I had this in like high school. I've been saving it for this one moment.
Yeah, he's waiting for, like, we don't have that scene yet, but he's planning it. It's going to be in 10 years, and we're going to add it to this, you know, attraction, and
Yeah.
he needs it, so don't throw it away.
When you were a little girl, did the horror genre in general spark joy? How far back does your interest in haunting and the horror genre in general go?
I think I don't remember not liking things that are just a little different, just a little dark, a little spooky. So I was not allowed to watch any super real horror movies. You know, I was allowed to watch Beetlejuice, and I watched it regularly. And then the scary stories to tell in the dark. It was like the greatest thing. Everything about it was magic. Like the creepy photos and the stories, which I read now, and I'm like, that's not scary, but it was perfect.
So the only reason for your parents, I guess, shielding you a little bit from the horror movies was just to protect you?
I did accidentally walk in when someone was watching Dolls, and I mean, I was super, super young, but it terrified the shit out of me. So after that, I had to kiss like every stuffed animal goodnight and make sure that it was sitting up properly, because I was worried that I'd get murdered in my sleep from all my animals and dolls, because of like the 30 minutes I saw of this. So that was probably why I wasn't allowed to watch the movies.
So how is Richmond a good backdrop for horror?
Richmond really embraces its history a lot. So there, we've got buildings like this one, the Summit Stables, and they're just beautiful and naturally, they feel like everything feels like it could have a Victorian ghost walking around. It just has that feel. I've never heard that this place is haunted, but if someone told me that, I'd believe it 100%, just because it looks like a perfect place to hang out. If I was a ghost, I'd hang out here. So, and I think that Richmond has a ton of buildings like this. It's just got pockets of, old places that have so much history and story, and you just want to hang out and imagine what happened there before. They allow that vivid fascination, and you can just create like your own little stories of that little ghost that might exist, and I love it.
How are you a wicked woman of Richmond?
Just a wicked woman because, it's how I do.
What is...
She's a self-described creeper. So.
I know, I creep along the streets of Richmond, so I think that says it all.
That's a little wicked.
That's a little wicked.
What is a wicked woman in Richmond?
For us, I think it's people putting their wonderful, creepy, spooky horror creations out there. And, it doesn't have to necessarily be art or, movies or books and stuff like that. For us, it's creating the haunt and creating events, putting that energy out there. I think I'm a wicked woman because I spend a lot of my time thinking up like ways to entertain the city and making it happen, talking to people and saying, hey, we want to do this, let's do it, and following through.
I think with Red Vein, we have a lot of strong females and leaders in the group, so I think everyone's on an equal playing field in that regard. So that's what our main character is, a boss babe, Emily, and then we have Kitty, who does all the work, and
multiple haunt leads are women.
Yeah.
So
and in the
many.
leadership roles,
Head
it's
of
very
makeup,
equal.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah. Our one requirement is that you work hard.
yes.
That's it.
Kitty, are there any final words that you want to let everybody know?
Thank you for supporting all that we do. That's it. I love you guys.
Red Vein thanks you for all that you do, and Richmond should also thank you for everything that you do.
Oh, shucks. I'm happy to do it. Oh, it's cool.
Is that a good wrap?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kitty 2020.
It's bananas.